Hello everyone, Creative Fun here, once again in the Mirage 2000C, and we're once more gonna practice some Viggen tactics. And we're of course doing that in the Mirage 2000C by Raspam. As I mentioned in the previous video, I am very excited for the release of the AJS-37 Viggen by Leatherneck Simulation, and in the meantime I've been using the Mirage to practice some of the tactics employed by the Swedish Air Force using the Viggen. The tactics are very simple in theory and very difficult to execute in practice. You are basically flying low level around 30 feet, 30 to 50 feet, treetop height basically, and you are flying at almost supersonic speeds, about 0.95 Mach. And this was something that was practiced regularly by the Swedish Air Force. To be able to operate in an environment where they did not have air superiority. Fortunately, the Mirage has many features very similar to the AJS-37 Viggen, one of them being an inertial navigation system, basically a computerized navigation system that helps the pilot to navigate to its waypoints and targets. It also carries some of the weaponry that the Viggen carry, including rockets and bombs. And today we are practicing using bombs. In the previous video I used rockets, and you're gonna see the tactics are almost the same. We're still gonna fly very low and very fast. And but once we reach a target, I'm gonna have to climb a little bit steeper to be able to effectively target with the bombs. So I also want to thank for Jero71, who commented on my previous video and gave me a link to the Mirage skin made by, let's see here, Lego Heli, which is a Swedish Air Force skin, just to make the whole experience a little more authentic. Also, in a step to make this a little bit more authentic, I have switched from summer to winter, so we're doing this mission in, I think, mid-January, which makes the whole experience a little bit more similar to what the Swedish Air Force practice, since half of the year in Sweden we basically have winter and below -degrees, especially in the northern part of Sweden. So this is more closer to the environment and the aesthetics of what a Swedish Air Force pilot would be experiencing most of the year. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Swedish Air Force tactics and why they employed them, it was because Sweden was very close to Russia and during the Cold War was neutral, i.e. it wasn't part of NATO or any other military alliance. This resulted in the fact that Sweden had to basically fend for themselves, and they developed tactics specifically to defend against a Russian invasion. Sweden has a very huge coastline that is by and large very difficult to defend, especially from sea and ground. The tactics employed here with the Viggen allowed the Swedish Air Force to very quickly deploy and attack targets along its entire coastline, and it would do it in a manner that would be almost impossible for the Russians at that time, with their technology at that time, to defend against it effectively. As you can see here, we're now flying very low over the... We're just going to pass over the hill here, and this was how the Swedish Air Force operated for the better part of the Cold War with their strike aircrafts. Now it's very easy to confuse the Viggen's roles, because we're basically two Viggen aircraft, one strike aircraft and one fighter aircraft or fighter interceptor aircraft. There were also some other variants, reconnaissance aircraft, and variants early in the time that was specialized in striking maritime targets or maritime reconnaissance. However, the two distinctive models are the AG-37 and the GA-37. A standing for attack and J standing for jakt, which means basically hunter, or in NATO terms fighter. Both the fighter Viggen and the attack Viggen or strike Viggen had the ability to land on very short runways, including improvised road bases, and this was a part of the Swedish tactics. Of course, that's very difficult to simulate with the Mirage, and I'm very excited to try to attempt some of these road-based landings once the Viggen is released by Leatherneck Simulations. So right here now we are approaching our targets, and we're flying, as you can see, around Mach 0.92, which is about the speed a Viggen would have held during maneuvers like this. Of course, the Mirage, being a 4th generation fighter, also using fly-by-wire and being a relaxed static stability aircraft, makes the maneuvering for me a little bit easier in the Mirage than I assumed the Viggen would have been. So please take that into account, that the Mirage doesn't mirror the difficulties of this low-level flight compared to the Viggen. And where you can see here, I'm going up for the attack run right now, and as you can see in the HUD there, the navigation system gives me a rough approximation of where the targets should be, and it's up to me to then visually account for the targets and put the pipper or bomb pipper on the targets, and that's what I'm attempting to do now. I also raised my seat a little bit to give me a better view and allow me to drop the bombs a little bit earlier. You can also see here in the left hand corner that there were some anti-aircraft battery firing at me. So I release my bombs and they drop right on target, as you can see. I think I damaged or destroyed 2 vehicles and damaged a couple others. And while that might not seem like a resounding success, please remember that the Swedish Air Force would have, or rather the Viggen pilots would have flown in a 2-ship or 4-ship formation. So standard approach would have been at least 4 Viggens releasing bombs on this convoy. And that would of course result in a far more devastating attack than what my single fighter can do here. I also believe that the Viggen was able to carry more bombs than the Mirage. I'm not quite sure about this, but I believe the Viggen was capable of carrying a little bit more heavy payload than what the Mirage is able to do. Anyway, this was a short little video just showing some of the training I'm doing and the practicing in anticipation of the AJS-37 Viggen. I hope you enjoy this, and if you want to see more of this, please don't hesitate to leave a comment or liking the video, and please consider subscribing as well while you're doing those things. Otherwise, I want to thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again. I'm going to leave you now with me basically climbing to safe altitude and doing a nice final approach landing. So please enjoy the remainder of this footage and have a great day.